On July 23rd, the Supreme Court declined to cancel the National Eligibility-cum-Entrance Test (UG 2024) despite multiple petitions alleging a paper leak and other malpractices. The bench, led by Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud and including Justices J.B. Pardiwala and Manoj Misra, ruled that there was insufficient evidence of a systematic breach to warrant a re-examination. The court noted that cancelling the exam would adversely affect over 23 lakh students, disrupt the academic schedule, and have long-term consequences. The NEET exam, which was conducted on May 5th, announced the results on June 4th, has faced controversy over issues like perfect scores, grace marks, and evaluation processes. These concerns have significantly impacted students, especially as the counselling process for admissions is about to begin. In response to these issues, the Karnataka Assembly recently became the third state, following Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, to adopt a resolution urging the centre to abolish NEET and introduce a state-specific entrance test. Today we have with us Professor Jawahar Nesan, who served on the High Power Committee of Tamil Nadu that recommended scrapping NEET. He's also the former Vice Chancellor of JSS Technological University, Mysuru. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And firstly, I want to know that what do you have to say about the Supreme Court's judgment regarding that they have dismissed the cancellation and re-examination of NEET? What do you have to say about that?
At the outset, I would like to say that it is something unexpected, and we have been closely following the trial by the Supreme Court from various sources, and there are a lot of petitioners joined together. And the issues were comprehensively heard to the level required for questions which are having even two answers. To that extent, they investigated. But finally, after hearing all the things, I feel that I'm disappointed with the court's verdict. The reason is, the court has come out with a statement saying that there is no widespread systematic leakage, and the fraudulence happened were segregated one-off incidents, and they are not widespread all over India. And there was also no systematic organized leak in the of the question papers. So, but I dispute with this. I disagree with this statement. Number one, did the Supreme Court ordered widespread investigation all around India using the same CBI and to investigate whether it was widespread or not, or whether there was any systematic, leak or not? And they did not do. Only on the centers and the places where the fraudulences or the leakages took place, they investigated. They stopped. And no government will come forward to tell that to implicate themselves in this process, to go ahead and widespread investigate to the issue and damage their own. So in that case, the Supreme Court first should have ordered the CBI to go for a widespread national level investigations beyond what they have done now. And after that, based on that, if they had collected any prima facie evidence or evidence is there to say so, we have no problem. But what they have done is that in a segregated manner, they have done here and there certain, the places where they were accused, and they studied only those places and concluded this. And that is one thing. The other thing is, at the initial stage, the Supreme Court said even 0.0001% deviations and the errors would not be tolerated. But now we know that right across the country, from north to south, from Delhi, UP, Rajasthan to Namakkal in Tamil Nadu and Cochin in Kerala, and also from Gujarat to West Bengal, right across the country, the data of the centers show that only in these coaching centers there were remarkable, significant increase in the toppers. So this shows that it is a widespread. why the court did not take this as a cognizance of widespread organized leakage. So, did the court ask the CBI to investigate whether these centers were involved in any way in this connected network, to do this in an organized manner or not? But the court did not seek any probe in this manner, in this matter, in this regard. But eventually, it went across on the academic matters, and they investigated. Even they ordered the IIT director to investigate certain, answer schemes for certain questions. And beyond all these investigations, I feel that 0.001% deviation means it had happened more than 0.001%. Now, it is completely understood by the whole Indian society that it happened across all over India in different centers, whether it is organized or not. So in this case, even if, as per the Supreme Court, if we assume that it is a segregated one-off issues here and there, but would it serve justice to those who were not involved in this, or those who are not benefited out of this scam? And what is the answer from the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court doesn't have any answer. And by doing the bell curve analysis and then compromising or re-evaluating those, answer schemes, and also normalizing the data, or also doing some retest on it, would not serve the purpose, because those who have, we do not know. Only now they said that 67 people at one center, at one area, and now reduced to 17, or after some adjustments and some re-evaluations, and so on. But my question is that the affected people would have been many, and the probe was not taken in that direction. And when the probe was not widespread, and it was not taken all around holistically across the whole thing, then how the court can come out and say that no one was affected? Because many students, the ignorant students who had done this rightly and properly with all discipline, without any scam and fraudulence, would have been affected because of these beneficiaries out of this scam. And even if one person is affected, the court should have cancelled the whole test and ordered for a retest. And that is what the meaning of the 0.001% negligence, the tolerance that the court initially quoted. But the court, I think, that was not cognizant of all these dynamics, and the comprehensive look was not done by the court. And I feel that it is injustice to the students who were not beneficiaries of these scams and fraudulence and leaks. And the court just wanted to compromise the issue in favor of the ruling establishment. They did it. That is my initial comment on it, madam. I think it is nonsense. You see, the fundamental idea is only the disadvantaged and demographically disadvantaged and socially disadvantaged and poor people were affected because of this scam. How come they say that it is going to be burdensome for them and giving them hardship if they go for a retest again? I don't think that this is a good idea. Whether they are socially advantaged or disadvantaged, the thing is, had they been affected by the beneficiaries or not because of the scam and the paper leaks? If even one student was affected, they have to go for the retest. If such a retest is going to bring such a hardship on the socially disadvantaged people, that means the court concedes that NEET is against the socially disadvantaged people. And if they are not able to redo the retest, that means if it is going to warrant that hardship on the socially disadvantaged people, that means the test itself is invalid. The framework of the test is against the majority people of India. That's why the court doesn't want to go for retest. I think that the court must agree with this notion that why it should be so much hardship, and it must involve so much money and hardship and stress and wet and sweat involved. Why Why the court feels so? If the court feels so, it means that the court accepted that the test is bringing too much hardship on the socially disadvantaged people. So that means I don't agree with this. Even see, if they are going to go for retest, even though it is going to bring some, pose some more hardships on the socially disadvantaged people in terms of the commutation, the transportation, in terms of fees or whatever involved in this test, the time. So other than that, what hardship it is going to bring? How can the court justify on this? I think the court has been so injustice on this issue to the majority students aspiring for medical education. I disagree with that. If the court say if this examination brings such a hardship and it is going to be a tough time for them if they go for retest, that means it is the test itself is against the people. A test examination should be a pleasant experience for everyone, and it should be an easy experience for everyone. And if it is going to be a hardship for the poor people, then that means it is against them. In the first place, it should be thrown out. Actually, what IIT Madras had done on this is purely based on the data and some statistical analysis. Can we just go simply by statistical analysis? Statistical analysis indicates it is whatever the outcome that we get out of the statistics analysis of the data are going to just show only indicate that there is none like that or there is something like this. But an indicator cannot be a solution. How can we go along with the IIT Chennai? But even if they had done some normalization, the statistical distribution with all standard deviations and probabilistic analysis, and had they done some normalization bell curve, the normal curve, and that is who can in the world say that it is the final verdict? Can it be 100% with all guarantee? Can they confirm that there is no such thing? What is there for the statistics to do with the irregularities, paper leaks, this and that? All they can say is that out of the 100% population who appeared for the exam, there is likely not many people affected by this. This is what they can say. And the normal distribution curve, the data itself, if NTA had adjusted earlier, prior to the normalization analysis done by the bell curve analysis done by the IIT Madras, and what would be the what they really wanted to convey in this regard? We cannot accept, because statistics is statistics. It is going to just simply indicate, and indicated cannot be the verdict or solution. And that is number one. And number two is that by doing the bell curve analysis, normalization analysis, can we say that people are not affected and question papers are not leaked? Can we say that? Somebody had been affected and somebody had got advantage and benefits out of this fraudulence and paper leaks. And because of that, somebody who was innocent was affected. And imagine thousands of students are getting, more than 600 and 650 marks in few centers. And they are going to occupy more than half of the seats of the government seats. The government seat is about 50,000 roughly. And more than 20,000, 25,000 seats are going to be occupied by those who are going to, those who have achieved more than 650. If those 650 are from the few centers of India, from Namakkal to Rajasthan, and that is an injustice to the others who were innocent, who are not benefited out of this scandal. So that means that it is the bell curve analysis, the normalization analysis by IIT Chennai is a fraudulence against this scientific. It is not scientific in the first place. And it cannot be used to justify that people were not affected. See, the idea of this IIT statistics, normalization analysis, and the standard deviation analysis, probabilistic analysis, they had done it using the data. So using the data, we can run some sensitivity analysis and see whether the population at large is in a disarray by the distortion done by the fraudulence or paper leaks or not. So this is an indirect indicator to show that there has been some kind of damages done to the major population who appeared for the examination or not. That was the thing. But it is not the solution. It is not the verdict. It cannot be 100% perfect. So based on this, no one can pass an order. And it is just an indicator. My question is that even if it is an indicator that majority of the people were not affected, let it be. Even a 5% got benefited and the 95% as opposed to 95% got affected because of the 5%, because it is not just a few thousand people appeared for. There are about more than 23 lakhs people, students appeared for. Even 5% if they got influenced, benefited out of this scandal, and that is enough to completely take over all the government seats. So how can they justify this? I think that the court wanted to, compromise this. And in order to compromise with the verdict, the court has, taken the support of IIT Madras analysis and this and that. But even my question is that when this examination, in all respect, the framework is wrong, and they say that NCERT, based syllabus, old syllabus, new syllabus, there is a quarrel against it. I think that we will discuss that later. But in setting, even in the answer scheme also, there was some problem with that. And the question itself, the framework itself is biased because it is NCERT based and it is against the state-based syllabus. About 85% of the state-based students are 85%, and they are affected. And it is the court also has succumbed now, has accepted that it is a hard and high-stake examination. It cannot be reconducted. It is going to bring more hardships on the students. So with all these difficulties, what is the need for you to conduct an examination like this? Do you think that the students are just simply, commodity for you to handle like this? And is it education or not? I tell you one thing, that Baba Sahib Ambedkar, when during a long time back, he said that nowadays examinations in the name of standard merit, examinations are made impossible so that majority of the disadvantaged people are omitted from the education process. This is the statement of Dr. Ambedkar. And it is coming really true now. And you are making these students staying away from this high-tech process, when as long as you have a digital high-tech process, there is a high-tech crime also involved. It is possible, and you don't have the foolproof system to plug it. And when you have all these loopholes, and it is all aligning and together to point out that this total NEET as an examination is a flawed system framework, how come that the court comes and say that there is no systematic thing? Is that the only problem associated with that? If it is not, if they found that there is no systematic organized crime involved in it, there are a lot of flaws in the framework, in the answer scheme. What are they going to say with this? Are they academicians, the justices, the Chief Justice and other bench who heard this? They should have heard the academic part of this NEET. And have they tested the academic validity of the framework? The first place I'm asking directly to the Chief Justice Chandrachud. I'm asking him only one question. Sir, are you aware that this is academically invalid system or not? And have you pursued this in your investigation or not? Why? If not, why? You have seen this as an issue of fraudulence and irregularities and paper leaks. You fail to look at holistically, comprehensively, this as an invalid academic system. What we are talking about is education and academic. We are not talking about something, a business, an economic system. And even if even if we agree with him that there is no organized crime in it, what happened that he should have studied the academic validity of it and the hardships involved and the coaching money involved And all these things, the impact that it has created on the common man in this country, prohibiting them, banning them from entering into medical education. Had the Supreme Court bench addressed this investigation in this direction or not? It was not. Suo moto, they can take all cases, They should not just simply hear the two sides, the lawyers on both sides, and just give a verdict. It is a common man verdict. Suo moto, they should have taken more than what they have heard, more than what they have been petitioned. They should have taken comprehensively stock of all these things associated with it. The hardships, the money involved in terms of coaching, and the stress and the strains students are taking and their families are taking against this, and also the fraudulences. And it is systematic because it has been the past history for the 6-7 years. It is not just one off only this year. If this has been the issue, the episode every year, isn't it systematic or organized system? How does the bench, ensure that this scandal or this paper leaks did not happen in all major centers where many students scored more than 650? There are 5%, there are 7%, the 5% in Namakkal, 7% students passed in Rajasthan in one center, in one area. So that means, is it possible for the bench now to tell us that there was no connection between these centers and the paper leaks team? That network, have they been a part of this network or not? Did the court study this or not? Did the court order the CBI to investigate this or not? Only then we can accept. It is a superficial argument, madam. This is a superficial, and it is against the people of the country, and it is against education. And because of this, for the past 6-7 years since the introduction of the NEET, most of the students who are aspiring from the disadvantaged backgrounds have been affected. The court did not take cognizance of this. I regret that I'm much disappointed that the Supreme Court was not comprehensive enough on this matter.
Also, I want to ask you about these things that ever since the results of this exam has come out, it has been problematic throughout. Even before the exams were conducted, right from opening the window again, then giving the results on the day of elections, then the grace marks, then coming back to again holding the exams for toppers. And now, until the court's hearing, we heard that the problem was with the physics question. I think it was question number 49, where two options or more than one options were correct, and they had to. And it is surprising because science as a subject is supposed to have only one correct answer. Like ideally, since school we know this, that science cannot. And like you've already mentioned, that the court did not take suo moto in these cases, in these systematic failures. I want to know that how, because as a professor, like whenever a paper is set, we do know the answers. And if it's a multiple choice in science, of course, there's going to be one answer. And I think it's on Friday that the results will be announced. This will be the fourth time that the results will be coming out. Final list will be coming out. Please tell us that is it possible that there can be so many flaws in just from the exam paper itself? Let's even exclude the fact that it was reopened after the exams were announced and other failures, but its question paper itself has so many flaws this time. How is it possible?
Not only this time. We heard this several times in the past. Last year, there was a report appearing in the news saying that some of the questions are even wrong. Some of the questions were wrong. And also, some of the questions asked in vernacular languages were not matching with the English question, the English version of the same question. And because of that, those who have appeared in the vernacular languages have lost marks. And they went to the court, but no one heard. And they did not get any justice. So even this year, as you yourself said that, see, how many times the marks can be adjusted, compromised, modified? On what basis? What is the technicality involved? Does the bench know of this? Does the bench, Supreme Court bench, know what is examination in the first place? How examination can be moderated? The results can be moderated on what basis? If they are doing normalization or anything for to moderate it, and on what formula and what basis normally they do it? Does the bench aware of it? Number one. And number two, when there are series of, when somebody is going for a surgery, a heart surgery, one time, okay. Okay, there is a mistake, and second time, okay. If you are going for 4 times, 5 times the same heart, what will happen to the heart? Will the heart survive? I think it is a great collapse. I think the court is so adamant not listening this basic idea. Even a common man could understand this. We don't need a so judicial laureates like Chandrachud to sit and listen all the things and finally coming out with this verdict. The main thing I tell you is that the court must understand, must take this as an educational process. It is not a judiciary process. What you have investigated on the irregularities and the paper leaks is a crime. That is okay. It comes under your purview. But this is an educational process. Moderation, and 4 or 5 times you are compromising the results and releasing the results, re-results, and adjustments with what formula, with what adjustment they have done. We do not know. It was not let known. People were not aware of it. And they have, say, take for instance, this time there was a question, and for that question there was an answer. The second option was an answer, and fourth option was an answer for the same question. And how come there could be 2 answers for one question? And the NTA was telling it was the second was based on the old NCRT, and the fourth option, the fourth answer was based on the new NCRT. Huh? Come on, madam, tell me now. Can there be 2 answers for the question where the sun rises? Even, let it be 2 versions, NCRT old, NCRT new. But in NCRT old, if NCRT old says the sun rises at east, NCRT new also should say sun rises at east. The NCRT new cannot say sun rises at west. How can there be, the NTA was telling, no, the fourth answer was based on the new NCRT syllabus, and the second option was based on the old NCRT syllabus. So what will happen to the 9 lakh students who answered the fourth option, and the 4 lakhs plus students answered the second option? What would happen to them? At least it's one of these group is going to be affected if there is only one answer. And see, the problem, madam, NTA is not academic body. You think that this would happen in CBSE examination, or this would happen in our state board examinations? Such a nasty things? Because NTA is an unacademic, bureaucratic, administrative body run by purely non-academicians. And they virtually, even the IAS officer is sitting as a director or chairman of it. What do they know about it? It is not like a state board authority or central education board authorities. So that means that the fundamental flaw is that, it is not properly driven, educationally driven. It is not run by academicians. And these are the problems attributed to a NEET. And okay, this is NEET. What happens to NET? What happens to the other examinations, CUTE and other examinations? They themselves have come forward. The UGC had cancelled its exam conducted by NEET, NTA. So it is widespread everywhere. Even we are hearing from UPSC also nowadays. From UPSC, IAS officers are getting qualified through all these leaks and other fraudulences and things. So that means it's a total collapse and a failure, and it shows that it is full of a flawed framework, and with full of nonsense, and there is no strategies behind it, and there is no educational concept and theories behind this sort of academic exercise. So my point is that NEET itself is not academically qualified examination process. The reason is a competitive examination should always be an aptitude test. If you go for a competitive examination, even though it testifies the academic areas and subject domains, it must be designed in such a way that it tests the aptitude. Aptitude means it is not based on the syllabus, it is not based on the content, it is not testing the memory, and that means it is overall testing the knowledge obtained by the students, the skills obtained by the students over 12 years of their academic life until their higher secondary.
Yeah.
So that means that is called, if you testify the students eligible for pursuing higher studies, it should be testifying the academic achievement. It should not test the aptitude. Aptitude is another test. It is another assessment. If you want, you do it. But what you are trying to do through NEET is an academic achievement test. Academic achievement test is better served, better done by the CBSE, by the state boards, and it is comprehensive. It is 360 degrees. And in terms of both summative and formative assessments, several cumulative, comprehensive, periodical, chronological assessments are done in the higher secondary and PUC. And that is the real assessment. And if you want to consider any examination as a qualifier for higher studies, it must be, that comprehensiveness must be achieved in testing the academic achievement. And only the CBSE and state board syllabus have that quality and the framework to achieve that. Whereas the NEET is one of a comprehensive, a multiple choice question, which is good for aptitude test. But you are not testing the aptitude through NEET. You are testing the academic achievement of the students. That is the contrast. So that
So
means
there's a conflict when they are testing, they want to test academic achievement, but it's for aptitude. While so there's a contrast directly in that itself.
Yes, that is the contrast between these two. And either you test academic achievement or you test the aptitude, but NEET is neither testing this nor testing that. And it is simply a multiple choice. Why? There is two answers in for one question. And if it is, say, for instance, if it is an aptitude test, testing the reasoning capacity of the students, and it is open-ended, there may be many answers for the same question. If it is testing only the reasoning, because there cannot be a perfect solution when you test a person on reasoning. So, but when you test a person on scientific facts, physics, chemistry, biology, there must be only one answer. And so the aptitude, see, that is the reason is, that's why I'm saying that academic validity, the NEET has lost its academic validity. And why the Supreme Court did not take this as a suo motu cognizance in hearing this NEET petition? Isn't it that the judiciary or the bench has that kind of sophistication to realize the magnanimity and the dynamics of a sensitive exam like this? If the bench says that they are not academic enough to understand the educational process of this, I think that the bench has made a mistake. And if the bench had looked into only on the irregularities and it confines this issue as an irregularity issue, that is wrong. The other thing is, if they say that it is there is no organized crime in it, involved in it, and that is also wrong because it is not just this year, several years it has been the case. Now it is proved. And even those who have passed from the major centers, who are the hub of the coaching, like the coaching factories in this country, are making much progress. It is not, I suspect that these coaching centers are having nexus with the NTA through the agencies and middlemen and the agents, and there is a nexus between them, and paper leaks are happening permanently, regularly between them. And this court has failed to investigate this issue. In just 1 month, what can we invest, madam? Tell me. In 1 month, such a national level scandal, how would you? You are taking 20 years, 10 years on bribery cases and on other, corrupt cases. You take, your court took 20 years in some cases. But in this, why are you making a knee-jerk approach? Why the Supreme Court is showing a knee-jerk approach in quick fixing this approach? This is not like the other crimes or not like other scandals. It is society, it is medical education, it is the health service, it is the medical service. Because of this, the medical service and health service is going to be at the stake, and majority of the people in the future are going to be prevented from availing quality medical service because of this need. And it has been well proved in our statement, in our studies that we have conducted. I was a part of that
Yeah, just a
high-level
second.
committee in Tamil
Yeah.
Nadu.
I wanted to come to that itself, that you have been a part of the high level committee that had suggested scrapping NEET. And now Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, as well as West Bengal have proposed it to the center to scrap NEET and allow them to conduct their own CET, common entrance test. Firstly, I want to come to that itself, that what were the suggestions of the committee that you were part of at least? And do you expect that it would be accepted by the center to scrap NEET?
Yeah, the first part of your question, that we studied extensively and we collected millions of data and analyzed statistically, scientifically with proper scientific methods, and concluded and found that there was a large scale discrimination because of the NEET imposed on the socially, economically, and demographically disadvantaged students who constitute the majority population of this country. And we first analyzed the impact and then we made a recommendation. The impact was that we found that majority of the students from the rural background were affected because of NEET. The rural background students dropped by 12% after the NEET compared to the past before the
And this is
NEET.
in Tamil Nadu that we are
That is in
talking.
Tamil Nadu. We studied exclusively for Tamil Nadu. If the same study is conducted by other states, I also suggested, in my interviews last time when I was in Bangalore, I gave an interview. I told that the Honorable Chief Minister Siddharamaiah ji should come forward and constitute a committee, high-level committee, to study the impact of NEET so that this state will also find the same result. I'm quite sure. So, to continue with that impact analysis, see, the demographically students were affected because the rural students were affected, dropped by 12%. They lost 12% seats after the NEET. And the English medium students and Tamil medium students, if you find that the Tamil medium students radically lost their seats, about 10% seats they lost after the NEET. And then poor background students, they lost more than 5% seats after the post NEET. And then the government school students who appeared for almost in 2017, there was no government school students, selected for medical admission. None of them, zero in 2017. Only in 2017 it was introduced in Tamil Nadu, whereas all over India, NEET was introduced in 2016. And in 2017, first time we got only 0 seats for those who have pursued their higher secondary in government schools. And then the government at that time, the following year, came out with legislation with a reservation for government school students, 7.5% they gave. So at least a couple of hundred students are getting medical seats now from the government schools. And also the other socially disadvantaged backgrounds in terms of the CBSE syllabus, those who have pursued CBSE syllabus and the state board syllabus, there was a radical increase. About 29% of the students from almost negligible zero from the CBSE background have got medical seats. Before NEET, almost they were negligible, less than 1%. But after the NEET, it just jumped to 29% and it steadily increased. So English medium students, CBSE students, and urban-based students, and highly, rich students. And these are the students we found that they are getting their major chunk and share in the medical seats after the NEET. Before the NEET, it was not so. And before NEET, we had all diverse population entering into medical education, and the same population respectively go back to their, areas and serve
Start
medical
practicing
service.
as.
And we found that they did it. And after the NEET, we lost. And also after the NEET, we found that majority of the students who have in the PG studies after the NEET, we found that the PG students, most of them are going to private sector to work there, as opposed to the government hospitals. So this is a great damage they have done to the Tamil Nadu health service and medical service. And the main culprit is the NEET. And so the same thing, I feel that it would affect the others. So that is why we came out with a recommendation. There are two recommendations, major recommendations, even though the other things. The first recommendation was it is the medical admission should be based on higher secondary, 12th grade, because it is comprehensive and it is cumulative and it is both formative and summative. It testifies the academic achievement of the student in multiples of ways. So it is the best way, number one. And number two, even if in the case of the state board syllabus, there were a couple of centers like Namakkal who always again use the same coaching strategy, and from one school, they used to get 100 medical seats, even during the higher secondary, using the 12th grade before the NEET. So in that case, we suggested that there must be examination reform, and the examination cannot be conducted in a rote format with the current existing framework, and it should testify really the knowledge, including the reasoning aspect of the subject contents, so that no one will be able to memorize, no one should be compelled to answer with memories and other coaching skills. So that means that the examination reform we have suggested, so that it testify only the understanding and the knowledge, not just the memory, and not testing the test taking skills. And this is the second recommendation. The third recommendation is that even in the 12th grade, there was a little influence that the socially disadvantaged, economically disadvantaged were also affected even in the 12th grade. To do that, we recommended a kind of a provision like a SAT examination in the United States. They have got, I think, few years back, they have got some provisions. And the same provisions like it is, we call it like some kind of the problems they face in the society, in the studies, and in their neighborhood, and whatever the vulnerability they are exposed to during their studies because of the family background, because of the criminal social background, or because of any other neighborhood problems, all those vulnerabilities should have been taken into account and come out with some kind of a formula, as the SAT has done few years ago, and use this formula to re-profile the marks obtained in the 12th grade, so that those who have been affected by the by the by the social disadvantages would get benefited by increased marks in the reprofiling. So the reprofiling is based on the vulnerability that they were exposed to, and that also will bring social justice into it. So these are all the major recommendations we have made, and the other legal measures we have recommended was it should be brought down to the state subject. The NEET or admissions, everything should be brought under the state list. It is already, education is under state list primarily, and this sort of examinations or qualifying exercise, whatever they do for higher education admission, should be under the control of the state. And so these are the major recommendations, and we feel that This is applicable to all over India. Most of the states, if they conduct the similar impact analysis, they would find the same results. But your second part of the question, whether the government, the central government would agree or not, it is a political decision. It's a political decision. And I feel that the way the central government and the current ruling establishment at the Delhi are responding to this shows that they are very much adamant and they stick on to what they have planned and they are not going to listen. So that means that people should look into that all over India, not just only Tamil Nadu. I expect all over India, people from all across the states should come forward and voice and press their governments so that they will be benefited. Only that is the only solution I think it is before us, I feel.
Also, when it comes to the state-based exams, we were talking to Dr. Anand Mani as well, and he was also pointing that one of the problems with the state-based exams is that students have to travel along, and there are changes as per the states in terms of the paper, in terms of the portions, other things. How do we solve that? Because even that system had its own flaws. Where student had to give multiple exams, and based on for the states that they were trying to go to. So how do we solve those problems as well?
Oh, you see, prior to NEET, there were multiple exams they are supposed to go, isn't it? So we also have studied this issue. The issue is that, see, most of the students before NEET, we found that more than, see, you see that 85% of the students are studying in the state board only.
Yeah.
So the same proportion we found that they are not bothered with the central quota and they were preparing themselves for the state quota only. So in Tamil Nadu, we found that majority of the students were not appearing for many examinations across the state. So they were preparing for the state admissions only. Majority of the students I'm talking about. Only few percent of the students are competing for national quota. And in that case, they go for multiples of exams. I agree with that. But given the conditions of the diverse conditions in India and with the socio-economic and cultural diversifications in India, and there cannot be one common exam, even though it is going to take multiple appearances for some people who aspire for national quota. But even in the national quota, you take stock, even the NTA can conduct a study and say how many students are taking multiples of exams all around India. So, because of few percentage of students appearing multiple times to enter into medical education, why should we spoil 85%, 90% of the student population aspiring for medical education? And when they studied only using their own state board examinations syllabus, and they are prepared only for that context. So I think that this is a ill-fated argument, very illogical compared to the trend and the actual practice going on. This argument is wrong. You say take United States, take China or UK. It is also a vast country. Where is one common examination? So there is a diverse requirement. So diverse assessment, diverse entry procedures, diverse admission is the need of
Solution. So
the
you're saying
Indian
that it would
conditions.
be better than NEET, and it would be more suitable in the long term for the healthcare service as well as for the students, and that would serve the better purpose than having a centralized examination. Is that
Sure, sure. That is, in the long run, it must be based on a comprehensive, long-term, cumulative, very qualitative academic achievement test. And that will be guaranteed. That is guaranteed only by the state board and the central
diverse?
board syllabus. It's regular,
Yeah.
the regular examinations. And the NEET kind of a high stake, one of a competitive examination is not the solution for it because it lacks all these examination qualities and it lacks the fundamental philosophy of examination. So in that respect, it is academically not valid. And as we have discussed for some time during this interview, it is prone to make all irregularities and because this is 1.5 billion people. and it's a vast region. It is highly likely that the paper will get leaked even if you find any foolproof mechanism you fix now. Next year it will come in another in other means. So that means that these are normal and it is happening in many competitive examinations in India, and that should not happen in medical examination. And even if you scrap NTA and come out with other bodies, and they will also face the same problem.
So
So
what
that
you're
means
saying
that
is that such exams like medical, let's say UPSC, JEE, these things should. Basically, what I'm trying to ask you is that should NTA be allowed to conduct exams, or is it better that for every exam there can be a different approach? Because, like you mentioned, that NTA is a more of a bureaucratic body and not an educational body. So, are you saying that NTA should not be allowed to conduct these exams?
NTA should be scrapped. And in place of NTA, even if you create an academic body to test it, examination framework like NEET is against the examination philosophy. And because of that, that shall not be, even if you have an academic body to testify the students, and it will not succeed because the framework itself is wrong. So it is not the question whether NTA or somebody else. As long as this framework exists and it is competitive and it is only a comprehensive kind of multiple choice
Memory
questions,
based test, yeah.
I don't think it is precisely assessing the academic achievement of the students. So that means the examination, if the examination is scrapped, then what is the need for NTA?
Hmm.
Examination itself should be scrapped, and state government should be given the responsibility to do this. Because another thing is, NEET is National Eligibility-cum-Entrance Test,
Yeah.
and it is not National Entrance Test. And where does this eligibility come? Have you seen anywhere in the world where one test is used as an eligibility criteria to enter higher education? Quote one country. Many countries are doing common entrance examinations.
Yeah.
They are only entrance examination. They are not considered as
Eligibility.
eligibility examination. Eligibility is composite in nature and it depends upon the state and it depends upon the universities and the institutions in many countries. And so they don't use entrance examination as the only sole criterion for eligibility. And that is the fundamental mistake they have done it. And so that means in the NEET, even if anyone wants to commit for NEET, they should remove one E from it. That is eligibility.
And they should
And
have.
if they make it like a national entrance test, and that entrance test should be optional. If anyone wants to use, let them use it. And if anyone wants to not use it and have their own mechanisms, let the states allow the states to do it in their own way. And
So
they
there
can
should be
use sometimes,
flexibility in terms of
yes,
the whole system. Yeah.
yes. So it is fundamentally wrong, madam. See, how can you make a sole criterion, one test as a sole criterion for eligibility? And eligibility constitutionally, legally, it comes under the state list because eligibility is a regulation, is a regulatory aspect in education. So one national test cannot replace the regulatory mechanisms or the legally regulatory mechanism established by the state to qualify the students for medical admission. So that means that the eligibility itself in this concept, in this framework is wrong and it should be optional. And if any states want to, let them do it. If any states doesn't want,
They
they
can
can
opt
leave it.
out for
They
it.
can, yes. So that means it's a total conceptually, philosophically, by its own framework, by syllabus, by the pattern of question papers,
Conducted.
everything in all respect, even the way they conduct, everything is proved, is all proving that it is a flaw. And I'm very much surprised to see how this Supreme Court did not take an all-round look into it. This is the problem.
Also, last question, sir. What is the impact of this, especially because of the NEET results, since it's been happening constantly? We understand that there was a lot of mental pressure on the students as well as the parents during this. What is the impact of the court's judgment and the overall conduct of NEET? on students, and including because UGC net was also cancelled during this time, and PG NEET also got postponed. So keeping those things in mind, also, what does it mean for people who might think about appearing for it in the next year, or even the ones, even in the counseling process that might happen?
I think that the students have lost now. Even those who have been qualified this year would have lost confidence. Actually, see, when you do educationally something, you should achieve the confidence of the people in the first place, because education is not something what
Commodity
politicians
document, yeah.
do. It is not, it is something a social process, education. And you must get endorsement of the society, and people should feel confident about it. And people are not confident, even if those who have, even now, people who have scored more than 700 marks would have been not confident. At any time before the admission, the NTA might come or the court might come sometime later and say that you are not qualified, because it had happened in the last 1 month, 2 months. So it might happen again. So the confidence is very important. When will they get the confidence? When will they get the confidence? When it is justifying to all walks of life, and it gives the equal treatment and accessibility and affordability, and in all respect it gives, when it gives confidence, then they will be coping with that. But now you think that with all these episodes happen now, do you think that next year students will appear? Even I tell you, in our assessment in Tamil Nadu, we found that many students did not come for did not even apply. There was a large scale dip in those who have applied for applying for medical admission after the NEET was introduced in Tamil Nadu. The reason was they were scared in Tamil Nadu. They were scared because what is the use of it? Because anyway, we are not going to get 600 marks, and we would not get. And even if we get 300 marks, we don't have 35 lakhs, 30 lakhs to study. So why should we waste our time? And this was the mentality of the Tamil Nadu when we studied. And we also observed that the year after NEET was introduced, we found a large scale dip in the applications, the number of applications to for medical admissions. And so you see, you please you consider it is 23 lakhs. You look at next year,
Yeah.
surely it will go down, because many people have lost. And what I'm worrying is that, okay, we are losing confidence, and somehow we can recoup with it. There may be some political will and political, reformations might taken again, and there must be some solutions. But how to regain the confidence back that medical education in India is secured and it is in the good hands? It is not in the good hands now. On one hand, it lies with the NTA, and on the other hand, it is going in the hands of the private sector. And with the limited seats in the government hospitals, I think that this medical sector, health sector, is going towards inaccessible, area, where majority of the people are going to be affected and inaccessible to medical service. So that is the impact. So to answer your question, that people have now lost confidence, they are highly skeptical, and the only way to remove the skepticism is to remove NEET, to
To
remove
change the
NEET,
system, like you
change the
mentioned.
system. And as far as my concern, and the government of Tamil Nadu and the people of Tamil Nadu, and even the other states, Karnataka also has recently introduced a resolution saying that they are going to scrap
Yeah,
NEET,
scrapping.
and the other
West
government
Bengal.
also followed. And soon after the election is over, the Maharashtra government might also come forward to do the same thing. Because even before, when we were writing that report, Maharashtra government was a coalition BJP government. The chief minister supported our report at that time when we released that report. So that means that whether we like it or not, with minor, problems like multiples of time we have to appear for, these are all minor and applicable to only minority people. It's not to the majority people going for medical education. So minus all these little inconvenience, that the NEET is to be scrapped. That is the only solution. And only by that way we can regain the people support and confidence and remove the skepticism. But even with this NEET, if the government is going to come out with some reforms in the NEET, I'm quite sure, madam, it is not going to gain confidence. The reason is they would say is that we have plugged the electronically here, digitally there, and made the regulatory mechanism stringent and strict. And these are all going to they are going to say. And even if they say we come out with all foolproof system in the context of the examination, I'm quite sure that it is not going to guarantee that it is going to be unbiased and it's going to be for all. So in that manner that it is very much highly impossible for the government to get confidence of the people and the stakeholders in the medical education. And I feel that it is better that leave this matter to the state. That is my request to the, I am urging the central government. It is a political solution now. We have gone to the court and court also did not give a good direction. And now it is a political will of the government. The government should come forward in the interest of the people, in the interest of the medical health services of the people, common man. They should come forward and at least leave NEET a kind of the medical admission to the state and let the state take. Whether even if the Karnataka government wants to have its own entrance examination or higher secondary marks if they want to go ahead with, it is up to them. If the state decides so, let them go. But at any cost, it will not get succeed if they even alter and reform the NEET in the future. So that means that NEET should be scrapped. That is the final.
Also, so last thing, is there any message for the students who will now be appearing for the counseling this
Yeah,
year?
my message to the students is I am with you, and people like me, like academicians, are really pitiable for the sufferings and stress and the kind of enthusiasm and anguish and all sort of emotional, psychological turbulence and troubling that you have been going for in the last couple of months. And I'm so sorry. And this is what academics can do. We are doing the best in your interest to secure what you are supposed to have in such examinations and in such admission process. But it took other turn, and now Supreme Court also is concurring the ruling government's line of thought. So with all these things, when you go for counseling, at least shed away from all your things so far, whatever happened, and go with all confidence and pursue your studies. And even though you have suffered a lot, don't take it along with you, and go with all confidence and study well and come back and serve the society, and don't get commercialized, because the money you spent on it and because the sufferings you have gone on it, gone through it, sometimes it would affect you in your profession after you completed your studies. So get well prepared, be confident, and let us see what come next year. We shall pursue the same things, and at least your juniors next year will get justice. Let us fight for it. That's all you have to do in the counseling.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam.